Hello everyone, welcome back to day 36 of 100 Days of Code, and in this video we're going to be looking into progressive web apps. I've only had a couple of hours studying into this, but so far I've found out so much cool things. So we're going to go for what a PWA is. So it is a progressive web app. What that means is Google are pushing this really hard, and basically why they're pushing it is because progressive web apps can be pretty much like a native app in some sort of ways, or they want it to compete against native apps, but they want it to have the reach of the web, because apps are great, they're fast, obviously, they're reliable, fast, and they're engaging, but the reach of the web is so much higher than apps and stuff, so the websites and that still get more reach than everything else. And that's what it says here. So basically, what they want to turn progressive web apps into is reliable, fast, and engaging. And what they mean by reliable is, so there is surface workers you use to case your pages and stuff what's going on around you as you load through this app. And if you go offline, so if you get disconnected from the internet or anything disconnects you for some reason, you go in a tunnel or something, the app should still work and then reconnect as soon as you connect back to the internet, as this little image shows right there. As fast, you can already tell what fast means. It says it right here. Most people quit a website if it takes longer than 3 seconds to load, which is incredibly, does nobody wait for more than 3 seconds? Come on, patience is a virtue, people. But at the same time, I see what it means. It should be fast and it should be quick. Everything on the page should be quick as well, not just it loading. Just everything you do should be fast. And then next up, engaging. So obviously, with PWAs, PWAs are apps or websites you can add as a button or an app icon on your home screen. They can do push notifications only on Android, and they do not work on iOS because iOS does not support web push notifications, as you see here, and web app manifest, which means it's like a web app but on your desk, so as you can see there. And also they support proper full screen mode, so it's an actual app. It's like an actual app on your phone. It's not in a web browser, it's nothing like that. It's just there once you've added it to your screen. Today in our video we are going to be creating this sort of little just simple feed with a few bits of news. We're going to be pulling it from the news API, and I'll show you how to get an API key for that. So we've got this, and also this progressive web app. So if I go to a page which isn't if I go to /404, this ain't the part you're looking for. If we return home and we go to something else such as test, it's also going to give me the 404 page, because the 404 page, it gives you a page which doesn't exist, and that is something awesome which surface workers are doing for us in the background, and I'll show you how to set that all up at the same time. I'm about to overlay a video of me creating this, or not creating this, but adding this app to my home screen on my own phone. So you will see, I can't see this by the way, so I'm just going to pretend I know what I'm looking at. You'll see that I am clicking onto my website. I've gone to the URL of the coding part, which is actually run by my local server on your network, 192.168. I've gone to that link there, and I've loaded up the web page. I can click add to home. And then once I've added it to my home screen, as soon as I open it, it acts like an actual app. It's like an app on my phone. As you can see, when I'm scrolling up and down, there's no search bar, there's nothing like that. What a normal web browser have. It's just like a native app in some sort of respect. It's not perfectly like one. Again, there's loads of flaws with this, and there's a lot of issues which can come about with this, but it works. It works pretty much amazing every time. So I'm just going to go and set up some new folders, and we're going to get working on this app. So I'll see you guys in a minute. Okay, everybody, so I have created a blank folder and a blank directory, nothing in it, and we're going to start from here. So with this surface worker, we first off with an app, with any website or anything, you need your HTML or whatever you're going to build your web out in. And for now, it's just going to be a basic HTML file for us. We could do this in Vue.js and stuff, but I thought it was overkill just to demonstrate what PWA is. So we're going to use a standard boilerplate. We're going to get rid of all these meta tags here for now, and we're going to change the name of this to the coding pot. Oh, not the coding pot, the coding pot. There we go. If you guys don't know what the coding pot is and why I've referenced it, the coding pot is our Discord server, and if you want to join the Discord server, you can hit up the link below and you'll be taken to or be invited to the Discord server. You can join us and talk along and get and meet new people. So let's crack on. So we've got the link and we're going to say CSS. And in here, we're going to say main.css, and that is going to be our file. We're going to link to that. In our head, we need a few meta tags, and we also need another link. The relevance is going to be a manifest, and we're also going to say href is equal to manifest.json. And what this does, so a manifest is basically what tells our, like when we add it to the homepage, or it tells our website or a browser that this has a manifest, and this is like a web app, a progressive web app. So this manifest file basically is what says it's a progressive web app. It has all the, when you add it to your home screen, it tells it its theme color. So as you saw in the video previously, there, if you might have noticed that the status bar on my phone was actually like a yellowy color, and that is because I set a theme color to it. So a few more meta tags we need. I'm about to drop them in, paste them in because there's quite a lot of them. So we have this mobile web app capable, and that means yes, so it is capable. Apple, it's the same thing but for Apple phones. Application name, the coding part, application, and then the Apple equivalent of that. Microsoft start URL, which is /index.html, which is fine. This viewport tag stops us from zooming in and zooming out of our progressive web app, just because you can't really do that on normal apps unless they allow it, so we've disabled it here. And then the theme colors, as I said, when you might saw the status bar at the top where it was kind of a yellowy tinge, this is kind of what does that for it. And then we've got the coding pot title and the CSS installed there. So let's get on with the actual markup. The markup is extremely small, which is useful for us. So we're going to have a div called app, a wrapper called app. We're going to have header, which is a HTML5 tag. We're going to have a h1 with a span ×2, and in the first span we're going to say the, and in the second span we're going to say pot, and then in between these we're going to say coding. Under that we're going to say section.articles, and we're going to have a ID of headlines, and that link's going to go in there. We're also going to put, just for testing purposes, we're going to put a ref, and we're going to say /404, and this is going to be a 404 error, just so we can demonstrate the 404 error. After that we can say script, and we're going to say source is equal to main.js. Oh, that's not what we want. Main.js. And that's it for our markup. Our markup is done. This is all we need. Again, it's a very simple app and it doesn't need much to it. So let's create the styling for this. So we're going to say main.css, and in the main.css we're going to set the body tag to a margin of 0, a padding of 0. The font family is going to be equal to Roboto, sans serif, and the background color is going to be equal to F3, 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 a slightly light grey, or very light grey. And you should know what all this does before. This isn't a CSS tutorial, it's just I'm going to go through it as we build this. So we're going to set the headers width equal to 100%. And this is normally by default 100%, but I like to just add it in because I just like the look of it being neat, and I'm weird like that. We've got the height of 60 pixels, and we're going to say the background is equal to 171717. We're going to add a box shadow to this, and it's going to be 0 pixels, 3 pixels, 6 pixels, 0 pixels, and then an RGBA value of 2% black. 20, that'll be 20% black, sorry. And then we're going to add the position sticky. So I've learned what sticky is, and sticky is pretty awesome. It doesn't work across everything. It doesn't even work on iOS, but this is going to be on my Google Pixel phone, which works on it. So again, this is fine to use. So we're going to have a top 0, left 0, right 0. And that's the header done. We're going to say H1 margin 0. The color is going to be equal to FFCE00. Line height is going to be the same height as the header, so it's central. And then we're going to say text align center. And text transform uppercase, although we've written uppercase. And then font weight 900. We're also going to say H1 span is equal to the font weight of 300 and the color of our very light grey. And now let's have a look what this looks like. So if we come in through and we hit refresh, we got the coding part right there. So let's continue on. So we've got our coding part here, our little thing. Next up, I'm going to paste in a few styles. So underneath this span, I'm just going to paste in this article stuff because, again, this isn't a CSS tutorial, but I am going to explain it real quick. Oh, so I've realised how zoomed out we are as well. Hopefully that looks a bit better now. You should be able to read that a bit better. So articles, margin top of 1em, max width of the image to 100%, so it's not huge. Background of white. Box shadow, a margin bottom to push them down, and a padding of 15 pixels. And then the title will have a margin of 0 because it by default would have a margin of 15 pixels, I believe, or 16 pixels. So that is our CSS file. Have a look at that. It will be in the GitHub repository, so you don't have to worry too much. So let's close that. That's all we needed, just the basic styling for our app. Next up, let's work on our manifest file. So we actually, let's get the articles first. We'll do the PWA stuff last. So we're going to create a new file called main.js. And in here, we want to set up a window.add-event-listener of load. So when the page loads, we're going to call something called start app. And then we're also going to get the headlines element, which is equal to document dot query selector, and we're just going to pass through this headlines ID. Now if we go back in here, this is what we're referencing, this is what we're getting in our file. So after that, we're going to write the function start app. And inside here, we're going to have a fetch API, but we don't actually have the API yet. So we need to go get this API. So we can leave this like this for now. Let's head over to API or news API. Let's type news API. It should be the first one. Yep, there it is, newsapi.org. If we go over here, you can see this is like it gets you loads of articles from wherever you want, and it's actually live. It's awesome. This thing is amazing. It's free for developers as well, so you're allowed to start straight away and you don't have to worry. So let's click get API key, and it's going to bring you here, but I've already got an account, so you should register and sign up, and this will give you an API key. I'm going to log in, and I'll see you in 1 second. Okay guys, so I have logged in, and as you can see, my API key is right here. I'm going to copy this, and we're going to use this one. You can generate your own and use your own. By the way, don't try and use my one because I would have regenerated or even just deleted my API key by the time it comes around to it. By the time this is uploaded, shall I say. So now we've got API key. We now need to go back to our fetch API, and we're going to say in here https://new. Oh, sorry, this needs to be in quotes as well. This should be newsapi.org /v2 /top-headlines. So we're going to get the top headlines for the country, and we're going to set this equal to US because when I put it to UK, it doesn't work, and I'm pretty sure I've done something wrong. And then we're going to write API key and set that equal to our API key. So that is how that works. Next up, we're then going to say .then, and we're going to add in a function which catches the data, and then as we do with all of our fetch APIs, we're going to return the data as JSON, and then we're going to say .then function JSON, and we're going to say we're going to create a new function called display news, and we're going to set this equal to json.articles, and then we're going to say the headlines element. So our display news takes in two things. It's going to take in the array of articles and the headlines element, so the element you want it to, or the section you want the news or articles to be appended to. We're also going to do a catch, just because we do some sort of data, or not data, some sort of error catching, error handling, and we'll just the lazy man's error handling is throwing the error and then reading it if there is an error. So there we go. That is the way we're going to do that. And now underneath here, we're going to do the function display news, and we're going to obviously put in here data and section. We're going to write in here if no data. So if we don't get any data, then we're just going to alert no articles, try again later. And then we're just going to return from this function so it doesn't continue on. So under here, we're going to say data.for each. We're going to loop through each one of these, what we get from the API. So if we quickly go over here, sorry, I should probably explain this API. So we go to documentation and we go to top headlines, down here the endpoints. This tells you the endpoint you need to use. Oh, look at that, BBC News, headlines, query Trump. You could search for Trump, you could do it by country, Germany, sources BBC News. Oh yeah, so there's loads of different ways of doing this, so you could search for loads of different things. I didn't actually read this, last one I did, but that is fine. So if we go back to US news anyway, this is fine. This is what it returns to us. So once we do a GET request on this, it returns status OK, total results 36, and articles, and then it returns a bunch of objects with articles in it. So now we've looked at that, you know how the data gets passed to us. We're going to say in our for each, we're going to say function, we're going to say article, and then we're going to loop through this stuff. So in here, we're going to create a new element called the article element, and we're going to set this equal to document.create element, and this could be a diff. We're going to say article element.classlist.add, and we're going to add the article class to it. We're then going to have the article image, which is going to be equal to document.create element, and it's going to be called image. And then we're going to say article image.set attribute, and we're going to set the source of the image to be the article.url to image. So if we go back to the actual documentation, if you look down here, we have a few things. We have title, a description, and we also have the URL to image and the URL to the full-on post as well, of course. And this URL to image basically just gets us the image we can load. So now once we've got that, we're going to say URL to image, and then that is fine for that. We're then going to say article image.classlist.add, and we're going to say article __ image. We're then going to get the title, so we're going to say element, and we're just going to swap that for title. It's equal to document.create element, and we're going to set this to h3. I'm going to say article title dot add class or class list dot add, and we're going to say article underscore title. We're then going to say const title, and we're going to set the title equal to document dot create text node, and we're going to pass through the article dot title. So we're going to pass a title into that. Once we have done that, we're then going to go article underscore element, and we're going to do dot append child article image. We're then going to go article title dot append child title, because we're going to append the text to this. Then we're going to say article element dot append child article title. Jesus, there's a lot of appending. And then we're going to do another section. Oh yeah, sorry. So in our function, we obviously pass through the section we want to add it to. So now we're going to say section dot append child, and we're going to say article element. So let's have a look what this does. Let's go back here and let's hit refresh. So now when we refresh, we get these posts, but if you notice, we get loads of posts. And that's cool. You can keep all these posts if you want to, but I just want to return 5. So if we come back up to our start app function, we're going to go in here and we're going to say dot slice to these articles, and then we're going to pass 0 and 5. So we're only going to return from the start to the 5th one. And now if we hit refresh, there we go. We've only got 5 articles. This one's image is a bit broken, but that is fine. It is generally broken. Is that just a broken image, or? Null. It is equal to null. Does it not have it? I don't know why I refreshed here. Does this give us the same one? Jets, Tesla. Jets, Tesla. Oh yeah, look at that. And so this is the AccuWeather one, and yes, it doesn't have an image, so that's fine. That's just, we should probably check for that. So now if we go, if article image, which probably put up here, if article image dot URL to image is equal to null, is not equal to null, then we do this. And we also want to grab that and pull it around the article image here. Actually, we could put this just up here. It can be up there with it. So we'll only append it if it needs it. Now, if we refresh, did we get an error? What did we do? Article image is not defined. Where else are we referencing article image? Oh, sorry, that should just say article.url to image. And now if we refresh, there we go. So that one just doesn't have an image, it's just text. Nice, just so that's bugged out. So now we've got this, it's finally time to work on the surface worker, or the manifest, the actual progressive web app part of this stuff. So first things first, we want to create a manifest file. But to do that, we could either write out ourselves, or we could use a really cool tool I found on the internet called App Manifest Firebase. So if we go to, it's this top one here, so this link here, and it brings this page, and this is amazing. So we're going to call this the, oh hello, what's that? We'll call this the coding pot. The short name will be code pot, just for a short name. The theme color is obviously going to be our brand color, and the background color is going to be 171717. The browser, so this is what allows us to display it. So how we want it, we could display it in our browser still, or we could display it as standalone. So what standalone is, there's two of us, but we don't know what. Full screen and minimal are pretty much similar to standalone, but standalone acts as if it was an actual app on your device. So when you save this to your phone, when you add it to your home screen, it acts as a standalone when you open it. We can set the orientation, which I'm going to set to portrait, and then the start URL can be a dot. Next up, we want to generate some icons, so some images, which will be used to display in our apps and stuff. So if we click icons, we can then go to, I'm going to get the coding pot little logo thing, and we're going to click generate zip. To do is go create our a zip with our manifest. We just have to unzip inside of our directory, and I'll see you once that's done. Okay guys, so it is downloaded, it's right here. I'm just going to double click it to unzip it on my Mac, and we're just going to drag these files into here. I'm going to delete that folder, and I'm also going to delete that. So we have now our manifest file and our images with the icons in. If we go back and we go back into our text editor and we look at the manifest JSON file, so you can see the name is equal to the coding pot, the short name is code pot, the theme color, background color, the display, orientation, scope, start, and icons are all set ready to be used. Splash pages are null, but you can actually set, so when you load up your phone, you can actually set to display some splash pages, which is absolutely awesome. So like an actual app does, when you first load up, while it's loading, it displays a splash screen, and that is what this will do for us. But we ain't going to set that up in today's video. So for now, let's just close that file. That's done with. So now we need to do a couple of things. We need to create a function called install surface worker async, and what this is going to do, so it's going to be an asynchronous function which is going to go install surface worker async, and basically what this is going to do, we're going to check if surface worker, or capital W, worker is inside of navigator, and if it, and then we're going to do a try or a try catch, and then we're just going to say in here let surface worker equal await. So we're going to use a await function. We're going to say navigator dot surface worker dot register, and then we're going to pass in here our surface worker file, and that is what our surface worker files could be. We're going to create this file in a minute, but for now you can leave that as it is. And then we'll just go console.error failed. Oh, we'll use backticks, and we're going to say failed to register surface worker, and then we're going to pass through the error. Okay, so that is all we need, but we need to call this function. We want to call this function inside of this start app function. So we're going to call it at the bottom here, and that will do. So now this calls a file inside of our root, and we're going to call this sw.js, and this needs to be in your root directory, because if it's not, it can't access any other files other than the files inside its root and its child root, so it can access files inside child folders as well, but it can't go out of the folder, so it has to be here. And what we're going to do with this is we're going to create a const, and we're going to call this cache, no, that's not how you spell cache, cache name, or cache name, and we're going to set this equal to a name. So we can set this to anything. I'm just going to call it version 1, and version 1 means it's the version 1 of the thing, and then we're going to write self, and this is equal to window, as you can see up in the top right there. And we're going to say .add event listener, and this event listener is going to be called install, and on install we're going to do async, and we're going to an async function which is going to const cache, so it's going to get a cache which is equal to await and caches dot open, so this is going to open our cache, and we're going to pass it through the cache name. So we're going to open the cache with the cache name, or create it, and we're going to do cache dot add all, which is going to add an array of things we want to save in our cache, and we're going to do the index.html. We're also going to give it our main.css, because there's no point of having a website without styling, right? And we're also going to pass it our main.js. And that's all we need for this first bit. So now, in theory, our PWA is ready. There's a couple of other things we want to do. We want to fetch the the cache stuff once it's we want to fetch the cached website or PWA once we have if we go offline and stuff like that, or if just every time we load the page, so it's quicker. So we're going to say self.add event listener fetch, and we're going to pass through a parameter of event. And now inside here we're going to say event.respond with, and we're going to say caches.match, and then event.request. Then this returns a promise, and it's going to be response, and then we're going to say if response, then return response. Else we're going to return fetch event.request, and we're going to say .then. So this is the partly offline support, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. And this one is basically going to return the caches, the cases dot open, and we're going to say cache name, and then we're going to say .then. Oh god, I keep spelling it wrong. Stop. We'll say case is equal to or we're passing for a parameter of case, and then we're going to say case dot put, and we're going to say event dot request dot URL. So we're going to add the URL to our case, and we're going to say clone, and that's it. And then we're going to say return response. So this was a lot. I get this was a lot to do right now, and I'm going to try and explain it as best as possible. So up here we start off with self-fetch. So once this window gets the fetch request, which means it's probably called from here, or when the page loads and it tries to fetch data, it's going to check with the event, and it's going to check if it matches this request, and then it's going to respond. So if it gets a response, that means it's got something cached and it's going to return it. If not, or it's going to return the web page. And then if it is offline, it's going to say response, open up our cache, and it's going to get the data from our cache with our specific cache name. So this is saved. And then we're going to pass that cache, and we're going to put in this event.request.url. So we're going to pass this. I've just spelled response wrong, so I just notice that. Make sure response is spelled right. So we're going to pass the response.clone. So we're going to create a new response and pass that into the case. And then we're going to return response. Okay, so that was a mouthful, and I hope I explained that as best as possible. It is quite difficult to explain though. And that is all we need for our surface worker. So it was quite a big confusing piece of code, but just know you could write this and this will work. This is how we do our PWA. The main item for your PWA is your manifest file, because this tells the browser, or once you've had to home screen your device, that this is how you want it to display. So now I believe we are done. That was insane. So now if we go back to the coding part and we hit refresh, we've got our little files here. And okay everyone, so back to what we were doing. So this is all cool now. We've seen it work before, but now I'm going to open up my phone again. Okay, as you can see my screen right now. If we open up our browser, it's here. If we hit refresh, it looks nice. I can't zoom in and out. I'm pinching my screen right now. It's not allowing me to. So everything's working, and as you can see at the top there, our yellow color is actually on the bar, which is our theme. So now let's add this to, or let's delete this current one on my home screen, because that is an old one. And let's go back here. And let's hit the add to home screen button and hit add, and add automatically. Now if we go back to our home screen, there it is. If we open that up, as you can see, it's now like a full-on app on our phone, as I've said. It feels nice and smooth. It's really quick, and it loaded up really quick as well. And as you can see at the top there, it's like a little, it's still got the yellow theme continuing on with the app. And when I open this in my app, like, oh, hello, go away for a second, you can see it's like an actual app. So it's got its own icon. It can do split screen, kind of cool, and it has loads of cool features. So that is how that works, everybody. So I'm just going to stop that recording on my phone, and hopefully I edit this really good and you can see everything perfectly and it's in sync and stuff, but I apologize if it is out of sync. But yeah, this is how you make a progressive web app. This was kind of just getting into it. I haven't done anything further for this, so this is as far as I've just shown you. It's as far as I've actually got. And I'm probably going to look more into this in the future, and I'll probably do some more tutorials if you guys want me to do more tutorials on it. So in the next video, I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know if I was going to do some more Electron stuff, some advanced Electron. I didn't know if I was going to do Vue.js. Maybe I was going to mix them both. But I will let you know what I'm going to do, or you guys can tell me what you want me to do in the comments. You can also jump in our Discord and speak to me there and explain what you want me to do in our Discord. And I will hopefully see you guys in the next video. So if you enjoyed this video, guys, smack that like button. If you want to see more, then obviously hit that subscribe button. And if you have any feedback, drop it in the comments or join our Discord. Go follow me on Twitter to get updates about what's happening with videos and stuff. If I'm going to be late or anything, video upload. I try to upload at 11 a.m. every morning, except from weekends where I will try and upload slightly late. But let me know what you guys want me to do in the next tutorial, guys. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.